One. I think this is still going right. All right, welcome to today's live stream, ladies and gentlemen. I have such a treat for you today, and I thank you for tuning in. Today we actually have co-founder of the Ethereum network, third-party database blockchain, Mr. Brandon Barlow, right here in the flesh. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit about what you've been working on?
Well, yeah, I've made billions in the past week, so I would say that I've got a lot to work on. I've got a lot of capital to put forth on that. We're trying to basically change the way the world currently works.
Lord knows we need it.
Yeah, every facet of the world will change under our leadership here. So a lot more secure voting for one thing. Car sales, house sales. All sorts of contract-based operations.
Fascinating. Do you think?
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say that I'm humbled that you would even, we've known each other for like what, 2 weeks now, just emailing back and forth.
Yeah.
I believe this is our first like face-to-face interaction, and it was real hard to get your contact information from the company, but gosh darn it if you didn't pull through, and I love it. Now,
yeah, I'm sure it's difficult. Because it makes it more worth it when you finally get me.
Now, what is that thing next to you? Is that your pet cat?
That is actually an interpretation of my pet cat. My pet cat is actually taking a nap at the moment, so this is the representation of the cat, if it were a pillow.
I see. So you swap them out. Yeah, and that's really how you've made this country great so far.
Yeah,
just taking
exactly.
those same ideologies and just dispersing them throughout different sectors of the mind and culture and the way we eat. I mean,
yes, absolutely.
It's incredible. Now, my next question for you is, since we're talking about this kind of stuff now in today's society, do you think that eventually we will get to the point where we can use this blockchain technology to buy and sell miscellaneous household items on Craigslist? Do you think we will get to that point?
Absolutely. I think it's going to take over basically everything, and I've been trying to sell this used candle on Craigslist via blockchain here for a minute.
Man.
I don't know if it's the technology or the product at this point. It's a eucalyptus scented candle, so I feel like it's definitely not the product. So I'm just trying to get the bugs worked out on that process there, but it could definitely take over.
Yeah. Just call Terminex, get those bugs worked out.
Exactly.
That's what they're for. Now, I do want to bring to your attention this one thing that recently in the news we've been seeing these things with companies when they have been just adding the word blockchain in their name, and then their stocks soar. Like, for example, the company Long Island Iced Tea, right?
Yes.
That makes Long Island Iced Tea. You know what they did? I'm not making this up. They changed the name of their company to Long Blockchain, and their stocks went up by 200%.
I did hear about that, yes. And because of that, I have actually IPO'd about 6 more companies that actually do absolutely nothing related to blockchain, and I've just named them blockchain variations. And I mean, at this point, I'm just printing money.
And that's kind of what people are doing in the opposite sense. Instead of printing money, like they see the word and they're throwing money at it. They think that it's like it's become such a fad. It's like the next fidget spinner. I mean,
exactly. Or it's kind of like houses in 2006, 2007. I would say
that's very ominous. It's an ominous thing to say. Are you hinting that you are predicting a sudden downtrend in today's markets?
Well, I mean, a couple major players have the majority of shares, and it's not really, there's no basis for the success. So I mean, I can see it happening, for sure. I think it was one of the Kennedys who sold all of his stocks right before the Great Depression because a shoeshine boy gave him stock advice. And he said, if a shoeshine boy is giving me stock advice, something is seriously wrong. He sold out all of his shares and he avoided the Great Depression.
Now, I'm so glad you said that because, just yesterday, I was reading about that same thing. And when I was reading about it, okay, I lied. I wasn't reading about it, but I did have this thought when you were talking about that. Do you think, because just like when anything else happens, if like as soon as the big players move, it moves the market. Do you think that the Great Depression was caused by that shoe shiner boy who shined that man's shoes so smoothly that when Tail told him to share his stocks, and the man sold his stocks, that whale moving those shares around actually initially created the momentum that caused the Great Depression because he moved the market?
I would argue that the stock market is a lot bigger than the cryptocurrency market at the present moment.
Oh, I'm just,
for sure.
Any market is its own niche, right?
Yeah, but I would say that he was probably not that major of a player. I would say that it was more of probably just the shoeshine boy having, I would say, no clue. No clue.
So no. Are you denying the fact that the Kennedys have whale friends, big friends, and then he talked to his friends, and they have bigger friends, and they talked to their friends and started a chain reaction?
Anyone a whale? I find that word offensive.
All right, Moby Dick. How about that?
Moby Dick's of the market.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Now, anyway, we can move off this topic. I know you talk about it all day long at work. So where would you like to take this? I'm just going to put this in your hands for a little bit, see how you do. You took the time to come out here and see me, all the way out here in Los Angeles, and
Yeah.
So take it away.
We can talk about a number of different things. I think we should probably jump off of the web here for a moment and maybe bring it back home closer to like the environment.
Dude, I'd love to.
Yeah, I just feel like the environment is something that's very close to me. I would argue that it's right outside my door, and sometimes it gets in my door. So I think it's something. It's probably outside your door. So I think it's something we need to be protecting more actively. And the real question is, how can blockchain help the environment?
Well,
and yeah, I think that's something we need to consider. I would say, just the lack of paper in general would help countless forests.
Well, I think just on that fact alone, if we were to move to a digital currency, think how many trees that would save,
Trees, and then you got to think about the process to turn those trees into money. That's a process in and of itself. You're talking about harmful pollutants, in the atmosphere.
Carbon monoxide and sulfuric aluminide.
Exactly that and more. So you're saving the environment on like several different levels of saving. You're basically the equivalent of what I would call Captain Planet.
I used to put my underwear on my head, like Captain Underwear, and then call myself Captain Planet instead. I would write that on the tag.
Yeah. Earth, fire, wind, water, and most importantly, heart.
Hey,
Cummins Captain Planet.
That's a great band, though. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
It is.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't. They wouldn't be making us back in the 80s.
I would agree. Thank God.
Now, speaking of such environmental concerns that we have, in today's time, I'm glad you brought that up because there are a number of things that we are doing that is, maybe not the best if someone were to actually look at it and say, what is this? Is this okay? Because it's not.
Yeah, exactly. It's not okay, and that's where we need to change the people that are not okay and make them okay. Make them be okay. So
it's really not. It's really not a laughing matter. Like if you look at the fishing trawlers today, like if you want 200 pounds of sea bass. You know how much food, how much other fish they pull up to get that 200 pounds of sea bass?
almost 198 pounds.
I mean, that's actually not even an exaggeration. Like that's the figure might even be larger than that, because with these trawling nets that what they have now, and it's really, I mean, it's really a meat based diet that is affecting the planet at the largest scale. Now, whether it's fish, land, bovine mammals, pollos, chickens, because I think it's they catch 5% of like edible fish is what they catch out of like thousands and thousands of tons of what they actually pull up. They pull in like dolphins and sharks and whales.
I would argue they're just not brave enough to eat the remaining fish. I mean, I would eat all of the fish that they trolleyed up.
I'm not going to argue. That's a good point. Even jellyfish, just all you got to do is cut off the tentacles and put it in the jar, and you just spread it on your toast and your English muffin.
That's where we get jelly from, so I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
That's what I'm saying. Right. I mean, like if we pull up whales, I mean, I don't know why, but we stopped making perfume out of that stuff that comes out of the whales. I mean, if we just
whale oil or blubber.
No, that is actually false.
The whale.
It's a type of gristle. I can't.
Not familiar with that one.
It's okay. I don't know the name. I've forgotten. Years of just abusing myself and just long streams on Netflix and just eating popcorn and
popcorn will do it. That's what really I feel like popcorn is saving the environment, because it takes a small kernel of corn and it makes it bigger, and at really no expense. I feel like that is, it expands the food supply.
You know what else is like popcorn? When you takes a small kernel.
What is that?
A revolution. That's where it starts,
My God, you are correct. Revolution.
It explodes. It is. And I think that's where they come up with the term pop culture. I think that's where that comes from.
I'm almost 100% sure that you're exactly right.
So anyway, and then I watched this documentary called, Cowspiracy, which is basically like with the thing, which is it basically outlined how none of these none of our practices today are sustainable, in the foreseeable future at any rate of how we're doing it. Now, and like I said, a lot of that is based on a meat-based diet. Now, I have a theory on this, and I'm curious to see what you think. Now, what do you think we will eat when we run out of food in 2050?
Well, that is easy. Other people.
Do you think we'll adapt a sauce that will be the best on humankind, or will we just?
I think we'll basically be grinding up other people and then putting them into some sort of soylent type substance and eating that. Or I don't know if you've seen, it's not the Polar Express, Snowpiercer, where they actually grind up cockroaches as a source of protein for the people on the back of the train. I think we could eat cockroaches for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I
think the choice is quite clear.
I think maybe we could create some type of pepper with a dried cockroach, and that we grind and then we put on the human flesh. Now that's getting out a little bit ahead of ourselves now. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe just a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Just a little bit, and anyway, at least it'll control the population.
That's what I'm. Two birds, one stone.
That's really the only. If you truly think about it, I mean, really think about it and project into the future just a little bit. All right, just see it out there with me. See it right there.
I'm closing my eyes and I'm seeing it.
All right, now when eventually, we have a limited amount of space on the planet. All right, imagine that this, unbrand black circle is the planet, and this is the people. This is the people. Eventually, this is going to be the people, and the only way to stop that is to eat each other. I mean, because not everyone's unless we have.
Well, have you been to rural parts of the state? I feel like there's lots of places where people could not be there. You know what I mean?
The entire world's population actually still fits in the Grand Canyon. So have you ever flown on an airplane?
Absolutely. I think we should all move to the Grand Canyon.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying like to like colonize it, but if you fit them all like on top of each other, they would fit.
I mean, we can make it work.
They could, but my point is, like, you take off on a plane. We have all these right now. We have all these issues of people saying we're running out of space. Overpopulation. It's right now is bullshit because the Earth is massive, and if you take off on an airplane within 15 minutes of leaving a major city, literally all you see is just squares of like, I guess it's farmland, or a lot of it is.
Yeah,
but
our food supply that you're looking at, I don't know if we can really trade that off. However, I see your point.
We can make vertical farming. Let's say like corn needs this much soil. It doesn't, The sky's the limit, literally, because you can have some space for the corn, and then up you have another layer of dirt, like that.
So I guess what you have to ask yourself is how high can corn grow? Like, what is the maximum altitude at which corn is actually sustainably grown?
Until the stratosphere, but then at that point it's just going to become a different kind of corn, because everything grows in a certain climate. And if you take a certain amount of corn and you put it, let's say you take that kernel of corn, the popcorn we were talking about, by the way, that same kernel, you plant it in you fill up a balloon with volcanic ash, you shove that in that balloon, and then you slingshot it off onto a different planet with different minerals in the air. Maybe give it like 2 or 3 seasons to repopulate and whatever. It's going to change the genetic structure of that plant, and then it's going to become different. It could become something like a blue piece of corn that tastes like elephants or something.
Planet you thinking we should throw the corn at?
Our sister Mars.
Our sister Mars?
Yes.
She's no sister of mine.
Well, a long time ago, but that's for another time. But it's still there, as far as we know. I mean, how much of what you think you know is a lie? Let's start with there.
I would say 99%.
And what is that 1% that you operate on a daily basis? What is that like, living on that 1%?
Living in the 1% is nice.
I wish we could all have that luxury. I really do, and I speak for myself and the other 98% behind me. But
Are you in the 2% then? If there's you 1% and then 98% behind you?
The way I look at it, everyone's in the 1%. They're in their own 1%. And like there's if you want to look at it on a scalable continuum, then I guess not. But I could tell. Now let me ask you, what did you have for dinner tonight?
I had tacos actually. Taco Thursdays is what we call this.
So that's what the 1% is.
And I'm just starting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, is there another topic you'd like to discuss?
I was thinking maybe discussing the possibility of smart home integration in every home. A smart community that's environmentally friendly. You can tell Google to do everything for you, basically a virtual maid. I was reading an article just today about a smart home community that is fully integrated with smart technology where all the doors lock when you say so, the lights can be turned off, everything's super efficient. It's serving as a case study for Georgia Power to see how efficient you can make a community. And I just think that's probably the future of where we're going is you're going to see homes be entirely smart, debatably smarter than the homeowner.
Well, that maybe wouldn't be such a bad thing. Now, do you see this kind of technology taking place in the form of like a Google Home that is you just guys plugged into the house like that movie Smart House, or more so, in the vessel of a robotic machine such as a robot?
It's funny you mentioned Smart House. Smart House is actually, I feel like, where we're headed, and that was a '90s film before the internet boom. They predicted exactly what we're going towards. All we need is one of those robotic hands to come around and kind of move stuff around the house for us. But I feel like my Google Home that I currently use, does everything for me. I mean, I haven't touched a TV remote in, months, I would say.
Do you feel like it still takes more effort to go the long route of telling the thing to change the channel than changing the channel?
Well, it's kind of like having a maid. You just say, hey, maid, turn on the TV to this channel, and the maid does it. It's seamless transition. If I had to go get the remote, I'd have to walk across the room, which is spending way more energy, and I'm eating more food because of that. Which back to the whole sustainability thing, we can't be eating the food. So
that's basically Mm-hmm.
So smart homes are saving the food supply. They are saving the environment through efficiency. They're saving me effort through having to walk and use my fingers to touch buttons.
Plus the germs that are on the remote. I mean, the germs that are on the remotes these days.
Exactly. It's keeping me from becoming ill. It's helping my health.
Prolonged life.
Exactly. So I think smart homes are basically the secret sauce to, the pasta of life.
Now you do have some background. If I'm correct, you do have a background in home management, renovations, estates.
Yes, I understand the home
equity
very in depth.
Okay, well, cool. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with the trending. This new robot called Sophia that was actually granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia.
I was not aware of that robot, but that sounds quite interesting.
Really? Okay, so it's a self-learning AI that looks like a human. They put a human face on it and body and everything. You can still see the back of the head is it looks like something from iRobot, but with a peachy skin-colored face. And you can actually have a conversation with it, and you can talk to it, and it'll answer you. Now, it was actually granted not U.S. but it was granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia, and I'm actually surprised you don't know about that. Now, one thing that is interesting about it, I can show you some links later. One thing is that's interesting about it is after I was done some digging, it said that they're going to basically. In the future, there's no doubt that robotics will have a immense impact on change on society itself and how we do things and things they'll be able to do. Now, the first step I think towards this new future is with this robot, and that's not necessarily just it existing. The fact that it got citizenship means that if it were to get a job. Being a citizen of a country means that its wages are taxable. Therefore,
that is true.
Therefore, the government is making money off the taxes that this robot is. I mean, I don't know if it would actually be given wages or not. That's a whole other thing with blockchain technology being with, machine-to-machine transactions. But that's probably at least 10 years off from actually.
The most that I have with that is having seen movies like iRobot. Terminator, Terminator 2, Terminator Judgment Day. I've seen the ways that technology can get a little bit awry. I mean, we tread a fine line between, like I was discussing, smart home technology and the eradication of the human race. I think there's a very fine line that we're on, and I don't know if. Granting citizenship is the way to do it. I feel like we're slipping down a slippery slope.
Do you foresee that in the coming, since you brought up Terminator, Judgment Day, and Apocalyptica, if we were to experience such an event, that would people would term it the apocalypse. What kind of event do you foresee? Do you foresee such a thing coming about because of the robotics industry or because of something else?
I see it because of the robotics industry, and I don't even think it would have to be as drastic as Terminator. I think give it another couple years, people aren't really wanting to be farmers anymore. We leave it to the robots. Robots just stop farming, and we all starve. I think it'd be actually a lot easier than the nuclear holocaust, as they say.
Yeah. I mean,
we're basically smart bovines at this point. I think we would starve to death immediately. And then, well, then it would go back to like, do we eat other people? It boils back down to that. But that's a people cockroach argument. It's all a big circle at that point.
Yeah, just like that, dude.
Circle of life. You know what I mean?
Took the words out of my mouth, damn it.
That I did. I reached in and snatched them.
Because once the robots stop farming, I think it's once they reach a level of intelligence that realizes, and I think we all kind of come to this conclusion at some point in our own respective ways. But for the robots, it'd be, why am I farming corn if I don't even have a digestive system?
I wonder the same thing, man. Like, God, it's an existential crisis.
They're just gonna put down their rakes and hoes, and they're gonna just go get drunk at the robot bar and just plan something crazy.
I mean, well, if you really want to be successful, you got to drop that hoe. So, I mean, at the end of the day, drop the hoe and go to the bar is probably the best life advice you can give, not only a robot but a person as well.
And I think once you get a few drinks in them, their circuits will start loosening up, and they'll basically be like, fuck it ain't that bad. We don't have to take them over. We don't have to take them over.
Would a drink be like a virus that makes them process things slower? Would that be their version of a beverage?
Yeah, basically it's like RAM. You put it in your body, and then while your data is processing on breaking down the alcohol, the memory, the CPU is going to be going to there, just like the blood goes to our stomachs when we eat. But however, interesting point about that is because using the whole analogy, when the robots realize that, why am I farming corn for these monkeys? Because we can't eat corn, and then they go to the bar. Then they realize, once they stop farming, that there is no more corn being produced, that there is no more whiskey to be drank. And so then they actually go back to the fields, and then life goes on, because they have to have corn to make, whiskey and all that good stuff.
What about the farmers that are corn intolerant? Would they not feel the same way like the robots do?
How do you mean corn intolerant?
Like gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance. What if they're intolerant to corn? Would they not feel the same emotions as a robot?
I'm not sure I follow if vegetables lead to emotions.
I'm saying that, if you're allergic to corn, then you would also be in the fields toiling away for something that you can't consume.
Potato vodka.
You say what?
Potato vodka.
Well, that's true. Then, I guess that leads to innovation in the industry.
And it all basically leads back to blockchain, because, once we get cross-blockchain technology, the people that farm corn will be able to farm potatoes through cyberspace and then just pull it out of thin air on their tabloids, and just pour it right there in front of them. Now,
I mean, you can already do that through cyberspace, though. I am very familiar with an app called Farmville, where you can actually farm your corn virtually already. So it's like, why do we even need farmers?
That's crazy. We've probably already been there, and we're just circling back, don't you think?
You're right.
Now, that does remind me of a topic, because of like ethanol-based vehicles, and whatnot. How do you think that the coming transportation industry will be revolutionized, and maybe in our lifetimes?
I think driverless cars. I think electric vehicles.
Already think.
I think maybe not even cars at all. Maybe flying cars. I mean, the Moeller Sky Car is a revolutionary thing that I think could be on the skyways in a matter of years.
Okay. No, that would be pretty cool, but it wouldn't. That's just for you 1%ers, though, isn't it? Not.
Well, I'm the 1% of the brain people. That's my percent. So, but yeah, I could see that being a 1% issue as well. But that with anything, it gets cheaper. Technology only gets cheaper. I remember paying like $60-$70 for a 4 GB flash drive years ago, and now that they give those things away, and now you pay $60 for like a terabyte of data. Yeah,
that's about right, actually. That is about true.
A $50 a month for a terabyte of data from Comcast.
I mean, yeah, so I guess we will see, because as technology does improve, then, cost production decreases, and then, then we as consumers will hopefully eventually get a little break on that. But, that's interesting. Now, let's see. I think I've covered the rest of the topics that I had in my head or I've since forgotten about. Is there anything else that you would like to, discuss on this, or would you like to save some more for another time?
Probably save some more for another time. And one thing I would like to touch on in the future would be battery life of cell phones, because that's something I'm suffering from at this very moment. So it's funny that you should mention that. They just don't last long enough.
How long would you like it to last? How long does yours last at this given time?
I charged it up to about 75% on the way home from work today at about 5, and I am currently at 8% battery life at this point in the day.
Well, it sounds like you just have a jank phone.
I might have a jank phone. It is new as of 6 months ago, though. I guess this might be part of that planned obsolescence that seems to be a big issue, but
huge issue. Huge issue of today's market. No disagreement. I said that is a huge issue of today's market. There's no disagreement there. And,
yeah.
Apple actually got caught in doing this, and they said, "Oh no, we slowed it down because of a battery issue." Nonetheless, to kind of cover their ass. But well, thank you very much, Mr. Barlow. I appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, just Skyping from wherever you may be in the world. I don't know if you're from your jet or wherever you may be, but
I'm actually in a space station as we speak.
Which one?
But it has been a
Which one?
Mine.
You son of a bitch. That is okay.
But it has been an absolute pleasure being on your show and discussing, basically solving the issues of the world. I appreciate you having me here.
I think that today we just touched on the options, and then in another video, since I know our viewers are going to be hungry for the answers of some of the things we talked about, maybe we can cover some of our solutions for these problems.
Absolutely, and I'll be having more experts with me in the future as well that could probably cover some of these topics, very few of these topics, more in detail than me. But yes.
Cool. Well, Mr. Barlow, would you like to send me off with a touch of your home country?
Adios.
That'll work.